I want to talk about an issue, probably won't surprise you. I want to talk about the Arctic. You know, China and Russia are making big moves into that part of the world because of resources, transportation routes. We're an Arctic nation because of my state, Alaska. The Russian buildup has been dramatic. 4 new Arctic brigades, a new Arctic command, 50 airfields by 2020, 30% increase in Russian special forces in the Arctic, 40 icebreakers, 13 more being built. Huge SNAP exercises in the tens of thousands. This committee, in a bipartisan way, I see Senator King is here, has been very focused on this issue. New Arctic strategy, strategic Arctic ports, icebreakers, and I want to commend you, the 3 of you, on your focus on this issue as well. Mr. Secretary, can you talk about some of the Navy's plans in terms of freedom of navigation operations, training on ADAC, that you and I have gone out to see that very strategic naval base that kind of breaks your heart to see that it's been shuttered, but the opportunities there, and then general cold weather training and other opportunities in Alaska and other places. You know, when you look at our military and our threats, North Korea, Russia, China all present cold weather, mountainous threats in terms of terrain, and I think we need to do more in training in that area. Can you 3 gentlemen talk about some of our interests and what you're doing in that important strategic space for America?
More than happy to, Senator. Let me lead off, and I'll be more than happy to hand it over to both the CNO and the Commandant. As you and I have discussed, and we've presented to this committee before, the Arctic is a focus of ours. We've never taken our eyes off of it. We've been up there since 1964, if I'm not mistaken. Undersea, making sure our presence was known undersea and in the air. But now we're taking a more proactive step. We have up to 3 exercises that you've been made aware of in Alaska. We have one on ADAC that we hope to have funded. NORTHCOM is the COCOM that is coordinating that.
And that's amphibious operations.
That is amphibious
and
operations.
Other P-8 sub-hunter ops?
Correct, exactly. Take the airfield, then bring in the P-8s, fundamentally. We have been in concert with the Coast Guard and you looking at the needs and the possibility of a strategic port up in Alaska. I think this summer—
At this committee's behest, correct?
That is correct, Senator. The CNO and I have been talking about the possibility of bringing some ships up, maybe up to Valdez. Again, training north of the Arctic Circle. We learned this in the most recent Trident juncture, where we had ships above the circle, and we need to learn again what we have done in the past, exercise those muscle movements, get the sets and reps so we're ready to fight up there if need be, and or just to do our freedom of navigation and or diligent maneuvers up there. CNO?
So I'll just pile on to that if I could. Since the last time we testified before this committee, I've signed out this strategic outlook for the Arctic. I'm happy to share that with you immediately, which talks about our strategic objectives to defend U.S. sovereignty up in the Arctic. As you said, we are an Arctic nation. To ensure the Arctic remains stable and conflict-free, protect the freedom of the seas, and promote partnerships with U.S. government and other Arctic nations. Since that time, we've been putting our money where our mouth is, too. We're not just talking about this. We've done 4 major exercises up in the Arctic. Arctic Edge, where more than 1,500 military personnel were up in Alaska to test our ability to operate up there. As the Secretary mentioned, we did the ISEX with 2 U.S. submarines and 1 British submarine up there. Trident Juncture, where we brought a carrier strike group north of the Arctic Circle for the first time since 1991 in November. I can tell you much has changed since 1991, but it's still extremely cold and hard to operate up north of the Arctic Circle, and so we regained some of those muscles. And then in February, Arctic exercise. And then, as the Secretary mentioned, looking forward to September of this year, we can get the environmental clearances and everything to do an exercise up in the Arctic amphibious with our Marine Corps partners as well, which will include not only a takedown and a P-8 dead and ADAC, but also the important part of logistics and refueling ashore and all of those things.